Managing users and user roles. I think you're going to find this nugget to be kind of fun, actually, because the combination of the process whereby you create views for users in combination with this nugget where we're talking about giving the right users access to the right views is actually what helps you determine what your worth is as being an operations manager administrator. Now think about what your job is as being the ops man administrator in your environment. Your job is really to make sure that your clients are installed on the proper servers. Your job is to make sure that the right amount of data is being pulled in and that you're bringing that right amount of notification and alerts up to date. But at the same time, you still want to provide visibility into the other administrators of your environment so that they can actually see some of the same types of data that you can see. Now, depending on what level of complexity your environment is, you may find that some administrators need access to everything, or you may want to divide out that level of interest so that it's only down to the servers and the services that make sense for each individual administrator. And that's a process we're actually going to really conclude in this nugget is taking what we've learned about how to create views and gather data and then now tailor it down so that we can give specific users the rights to view data based on what their role is in the organization. Now what you'll find out is that there by default are a number of different user roles that are created just right out of the box. And these user roles for a smaller environment or one that doesn't involve a lot of complexity are going to be just fine for you. But you may find that you need to create some new user roles and assign those new user roles more specific elements that they have access to work with and see. We're going to talk about the process of creating new user roles and also how to assign privileges to user roles so that you can give them the ability to run tasks or the ability to look at views or whatever it is you want them to see and be able to interact with within the interface. Now, before we actually get into that interface, I want to bring up another slide here that talks a little bit about the different default user roles that are available to you. Now, we have administrators and advanced operators and authors and operators and read-only operators, all of these different default user roles, but each one of them is defined at the beginning for having a specific amount of activity, a specific amount of ability to work with the infrastructure. Now, obviously, at the top level, we have the operations manager administrators, and that role is going to more or less have the full access to everything inside of operations manager. You're the operations manager administrator, so you are going to be a person that is in this group. Now, sub to that group is going to be an operations manager advanced operators. Now, these are going to be different than your typical operators because with your typical operators, the goal of an operator is to see the interface, to see alerts that happen, or to see states that change for particular computers, and then go fix the problem and come back and resolve the alerts whenever they occur. The typical operator is going to be able to interact and manage with alerts and work with tasks and views in their management group. Now, the difference between an operator and an advanced operator in the construct of operations manager is that an advanced operator is going to have the ability to actually include overrides for both rules and monitors within the management group that they're assigned. So if you think about the individuals in your organization, there are going to be some individuals that are going to solve the problems, and then there are going to be other individuals with which you want to give the rights to be able to completely change the monitoring focus for particular systems in your environment. And those are advanced operators because they have that ability to modify those override rules. Now, down here we also have a node called authors, and this group is really the ability to create new tasks and rules and monitors and even views in management packs. And so if you have other individuals that you want to be able to modify or develop additional views and rules and tasks, but not give them full administrative rights, you can give them author right because that gives them that capability of creating those new monitors as necessary. Lastly, down here at the bottom, we also have these read-only operators, and really, unlike an operator, which we talked about just a second ago, a read-only operator is really a read-only glimpse into that operations manager console. You think about maybe your help desk people, or even maybe not even your help desk people, maybe the users in your environment that want to be able to see a nice high-level view of the environment. These may be read-only individuals because you want them to know when things are going wrong, but you may not want them to be able to interact with the system to solve things or override things in that case. You know, one effective use of Operations Manager in the case of read-only operators is the ability for you to provide perhaps a state view of all the computers in your environment or all the services of your environment and make that available, maybe perhaps via the web page using the web console, to all of the users in your environment. It helps them understand understand when there's a problem going on with the systems in your environment because they can see that something's going wrong, but they can't necessarily interact with the console to make any changes with those computers. So consider that as an option for your read-only operators as well. When you install reporting services, just like we did in the last nugget, that's going to install two new roles in there, report operators and report security administrators, which essentially give people the ability to create reports and then also to modify security on reports as well. So let's actually take a look at the different roles when you look at Operations Manager and just see how we can actually look at the existing roles and then also modify some existing roles that are out there. We're here in the monitoring node. I want to go down to the administration node because that's where we can actually modify security. We've already looked at run as accounts and run as profiles, but up here under user roles is what we want to actually take a look at here. You'll see each of those 7 different roles that we talked about before are available here, and if I double click any of the roles, it's going to bring forward a nice little wizard that will allow me to see essentially what is assigned to that user role. Now, the default roles, the roles that come out of the box, are really not modifiable. You can add new members into that role by clicking the add button here, but you can't really change the parameters of the role. You can't really change what that role has the ability to do. Let me go through each one of the tabs here so you can take a look at what all of the different options are for a role. We're starting here with just the administrator's role. Now, obviously, the first thing you may want to do is add in different users that you may consider to be administrators, for example. In this case, the domain admins group is added in as an operations manager administrator. You may not necessarily want that to be the case. In a lot of organizations, you don't even want the domain admins to have the ability to work with the monitoring system because you know how domain admins are. Sometimes they have the belief that they can go and change history and whenever their servers go down, update their service level agreement statistics so that they don't show that the servers have actually gone down. So you may want to remove that. Or you can click the add button here to bring up the usual select group to add in individual users or groups from the Active Directory so that they have those same capable privileges. Under the author scope, what this author scope does is it allows you to create or edit monitors, rules, or tasks for approved targets. That's listed down here for the approved targets. Under group scope, we can actually scope which of the targets are really intended for this particular user group. Maybe we want to limit down this user group to only a subset of the available targets that are out there for us. We can even limit what sorts of tasks are available, and also do you want them to create new tasks, and also what views do you want those users to use as well. Here's some potential views that you can use. Now there's one thing that you have to be very cautious with about the use of views with user roles, is that the views themselves are predefined views that you have created in order to make things easier for people that are looking inside of the environment. They're going to go here under My Workspace and actually see these views that you've created in their workspace potentially. And also they'll have the ability to create new views from within that location by clicking the New View button. And so when you're thinking about how you want to lock down views, remember that the views themselves are going to be locked down because you, the administrator, have done so. But the data beneath those views is not necessarily something that's going to be locked down because those users will have the ability to create their own views. And really this is a good thing. You want those users to be able to create their own views based off of the things that they need to see. Let's go ahead and right click here and choose to create a new user role. And in this case we can choose one of any type we want. In this case let's choose an operator role. And we can give it a new our operator role. We can put in a list of members, for example. Let's add old Bob Nugget, B-N-U-G-G-E-T. There's Bob Nugget. He's now a member of this user role, for example, the operator role. We click the next button here. And now, just like I showed you before, we can actually approve which groups this user can actually monitor. So we talked about creating groups before. These are groups of computers that relate to certain elements. So perhaps it's Active Directory domain at Windows Server 2003, or perhaps it's IIS servers at 2003, for example, or perhaps just all the servers in those groups. We can choose that whatever we want and choose next. And then the next one allows us to approve which tasks are actually allowed by that user to be accomplished. Now this can get somewhat cumbersome if you choose to only allow explicit tasks. You'll see here as I click the add button that the number of tasks that are available for any user in the environment are relatively large. If we scroll up here, we can take a look at DC Diag or Disable Audit Collection or There's that GP update task that we actually created a number of nuggets ago. And so you're going to want to identify which tasks you believe that this user should be able to accomplish against a certain computer in the environment. By creating or by assigning these tasks, those are the tasks that are going to be available when they look on the monitoring node inside of their own console. So I'm going to click cancel here, and let's just approve all the tasks at this point, including those that are important in the future. Because remember, if you assign specific tasks and you add management packs down the road, you're going to have to go back and assign additional tasks as the users see fit. We click the next button here and we have the available views. Again, the same thing as before. We can choose to approve all views, including views that for management packs that are imported into the future, or only selected views. You'll see here our top level views for active alerts and computers and inventory and those sorts of things. And then if you scroll down, we have the views that are related to the management packs that we've installed, like IIS and then SQL Server. And so one of the jobs that you may consider doing is actually trimming down what you believe that user role needs to be able to see inside of their environment, and giving them access to just very specific views. Or if you're like me, just give them access to everything and let them choose whatever they see fit. Again, that's going to be dependent on the types of data you want them to easily be able to see from within their console. If I click the next button here, we can choose a summary and actually click the create button to go ahead and create that new user role. Here's our operator role that bNugget is a member of. And so this is the process of actually creating views and relating those views to specific users using the security elements that are built into Operations Manager. As you can see, this is a relatively easy nugget because there's really not that much to talk about. The process by which of assigning privileges to users within Operations Manager is not terribly complex to do, and really allows you, again, to tailor down specifically what elements you want to provide to those users to allow them to actually accomplish the administration they need to for the servers they're responsible for. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.